Welcome, everybody, to episode 43 of the Women of Wrestling podcast here on ringbellsonline.com. As per usual, Irish G. Allen speaking in your earhole, and on the other end of the line, my colleague, Mr. Lee Burton.
Yo!
Yo!
I'm trying to be street and hip and down with the kids.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't do that.
All right.
But, we're back with another podcast, and if things go to plan, we may have another 2 podcasts coming to you before the end of the month. But let's not write checks that we can't cash yet.
Yeah, exactly. These are all things that are in the pipeline, and that's it.
Yes.
Nothing's confirmed.
But our podcast today welcomes back one of, if not our favourite guest from the past, and that's Saraya Knight, our first chance to talk to her on the podcast since she became the SHIMMER Champion earlier this year.
Third time she's been on the show, but technically it's the first time she's been on the show on her own.
Ooh, yes, good point. But if you've heard any of the Saraya appearances to date, one along with her daughter, I think that was episode 19, and once on last year's Christmas special, which I think off the top of my head was episode 32, you'll know that she's got some incredible stories from over 20 years in the business, so hopefully we're going to try and plumb some interesting depths with her with some new stories.
The reason why we've got her on is because she and the rest of her family are all featured in a documentary in the UK this week. It's going to be shown on Wednesday night, and it just follows a year in their lives.
Yes, I think it's 10 p.m. on Wednesday.
Yes.
So tune into that on Channel 4. For those of you across the pond and elsewhere than the UK, I'm sure you can find it if you look hard enough. It's the 21st century and it's internet, people. So
no promises, but I might burn a DVD or two.
Ooh, hello.
Not many, because, you know...
Yeah, I was going to say, don't, again, start to write checks that you can't cash. Like.
I mean, we get more than about 5 downloads for this, so I don't know whether I can afford to do more than 5 DVDs and post them out around the world.
Fine. But anyway, that's coming up this week, so we thought this was as an opportune time as any to talk to her. Plus, she's just been announced as competing on Femmes Fatales this November as part of their double tapings, which, by the way, if you want to go to, the tickets are already on sale for. They've already sold the majority of their front row tickets. You can get front row tickets and general admission. That's November 3rd in Montreal.
And it's a double DVD taping as well.
A double DVD taping, and so far announced, the major match is a cage match between Lufisto and Mercedes Martinez.
Other matches on there are Pink Flash Kira against Portia Perez and Sweet Cherry against Cherry Bomb.
The cherries explode.
So to speak.
Indeed. But yeah, also back on the show, Hayley Hatred. Athena will be there as well. Saraya. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff happening at Femmes Fatales coming up in the next couple of months. So yeah, keep tuned for that one. We're going to talk about that with Saraya, amongst other things. But before we get to the interview, let's do a little bit of plugs.
Yeah, why not?
Well, first of all, I'd like to encourage everybody to go and check out iTunes. I mean, chances are, I hope that you're subscribed to the podcast on iTunes. We've got plenty of people who do that. But if you do us a favour, go to iTunes and give us a star rating out of 5. Give us a review, anything like that. Reason being, because if you do that and you get some good reviews on there, get some high star counts on there as far as ratings are concerned, it improves visibility on iTunes. And now that Apple have got this new podcast apps for their iOS devices, again, the more visibility we have, the more people can find the show. So if you can do that, it would be much appreciated.
That means, you know, the bigger the site gets, the better guests we can get, the better shows we're able to bring to you. Also, we're looking to get more interaction on the website. We recently posted up our thoughts on the most recent Pro Wrestling Eve special edition show, which has generated a few comments from people who were there and also people who were following the results. We want you to interact with us. Tell us what you think. Bounce back ideas and things like that, because ideas that you give may be things that we haven't thought about and we can maybe look into and expand a bit more on. So just give us a shout and leave your messages in the comment sections, or you can email us ringbells@gmail.com and just give us a bit of a hand and we'll see what we can do to help you in return.
there you go. Can't say fairer than that. Without further ado, it's Saraya Knight.
Stand perfectly still. Her vision's based on movement.
Okay, and we are back with our guest at this time, the first ever woman who has appeared now for the third time on the podcast. It's the SHIMMER Champion, Saraya Knight. Saraya, welcome back to the show.
You know, I need you to say that again because that had such a really nice ring to it.
The SHIMMER Champion, Saraya Knight.
It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it, Steve?
It does a little bit, yeah. Have you got used to that yet?
No. I've got to be straight. It completely knocked me for six anyway, and the way that I got it, it was, I don't know. It's just one of those things that moment in time I'll never forget. And I remember seeing you as well amongst all the blur, and I came out and I lifted the belt and I'm screaming and I've turned around and I can see you and all I can see is your mouth opens too. So I knew if I shocked you, I must have shocked everybody.
Oh, I was shocked, believe me. I mean, I remember jumping up and I couldn't believe it had actually happened. I kept expecting that I was dreaming or something like that. I know it sounds corny to say, but I thought that I can't have just seen what I've just seen. So yeah.
It was that deathly silence, wasn't it? It was that absolute deathly silence for about 3 or 4 seconds as people kind of took it in, what had actually happened. And not only that, she'd submitted to me as well. Do you know what I mean? She'd had to submit, which was the first time as well.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is just, I just loved it. I loved that silence. You know, everyone expected to have that big roar and that big crazy. I loved that sharp intake of breath and that deathly silence. That really made it for me, that did.
That means you got them.
Yeah, I got them an absolute $1 million, and you know, I'll never forget that moment. I mean, there's been quite a few moments in my life that I've had, you know, gobsmacked moments, but that has got to have been one of the main ones I think I've ever had. Yeah,
well, you really are the person who Shimmer fans love to hate, and you love to make them hate you as well.
To be honest, I've been in the job. It's 23 years in April that I've actually been in the job now, and I've done you know, more or less everything that I could possibly do, and you know, seriously. And like now, when I come over to America, I can be the character and I can be the person that I want to be, that I used to be when I first started in the business. When I was the manager of the Superflies, I was evil and vindictive and nasty, and you know, and I like that freedom that I can go over there and not have to prove myself. I wasn't chasing the championship. The championship came to me, and you know, it was as much a shock to me as it was to the people out there. I mean, people have to realise this, that I'm finding it harder and harder to control myself when I go out there, and I get like people writing to me all the time saying, you know, we're on the front row and we want you to attack us. No, you don't tell me that you want me to attack you. I'll decide who I'm going to attack, who I'm going to hit, and what I'm going to do when I'm out there. And I won't be dictated by the fans or by anybody about, you know, how I'm going to portray my character. And it's just, you know, everyone has just got to realise that I'm only going to get worse. I'm not going to get better. I'm not going to be approachable. I'm not going to, you know, be the firm crowd favourite that they want me to be. And if it means that I have to be more violent and more vindictive and more nasty and have more tricks up my sleeve to do that, then I will. I mean, I don't mind respect, but I don't want, it sounds nasty. Fans is the wrong word. I want people to respect me for who I am and my wrestling and my ability, but I do want them to respect the character that I've got as well, and give her the respect that she deserves, which is fear. And I think that's better than respect.
Fear is the right word. It's a scary prospect, thinking that there's more depths that you can plumb.
Yeah. I mean, I want to go to the highest, you know. I mean, they're already talking about having security and everything and different stuff, and that's like, yeah, go on, try and stop me from attacking you lot. You know, do what you've got to do, because I'm off to Canada pretty soon, and they better watch out as well, because if they haven't got guardrails for me to climb over, I'm just going to steam into the crowd. So, you know, if you're going to slag me and if you're going to get eye contact with me and you're going to take the piss out of me, then you've got to expect that I'm going to be in your face and I'm going to be on you and I'm going to be punching the shit out of you before you've had chances to think. And if you turn up at that show on that day, I'm pre-warning you. So there's no good trying to flip and have a go at me or anything like that when I've done what I've done to you, because I've pre-warned you. So buying that ticket is saying that you will, that you're fine with whatever my character does. So, that to me is your compliance.
Oh, Jesus.
Everyone knows what I'm like.
There's a pre-show warning now, and for those people who've never been to Shimmer, they'll never have necessarily heard this, but Joey Eastman always used to give the pre-show thing saying, don't touch any of the competitors if they come out towards you, because they won't touch you back. And now he says, don't touch any of the competitors because they won't touch you back. Well, one of them might. So, yeah. I mean, some people wondered whether or not you would actually have been back this year. Some people thought that, your story had been played out when you'd had the blow off with Brittany, and, that was maybe the story told as far as Saraya Knight was concerned. Did you feel that you need to go out and prove yourself all over again this time?
To be honest, if I'm going to be deadly honest, I thought that my time in Shimmy was over as well, because I always thought that the reason that I was over there was, obviously with the Knight dynasty, with the tag team, but I genuinely thought that it was Brittany, that was the one that they were really after, and that not so much felt obliged to have me on board, because Dave obviously respected my work enough to want me there, because he didn't have to book me. But I think that when I knew that Raya was definitely going, and we'd done that feud over we'd done the story over the 4 matches, and we ended up with that pretty violent match at the end of it, and that huge tear apart just beforehand, even though it was my daughter. Because as far as I was concerned, I was going to go out and be remembered for that, and she had her own life to lead. Well, I just wanted to be, I wanted to leave my mark. If this was going to be my last Shimmer show, I wanted to make sure that people always go, well, do you remember when? And, the mother and daughter, or the Knight dynasty, or how psychotic Saraya is, or, I wanted to leave a mark. And then when I got the call back from Dave to say that, I was going back over and everything like that. I said to him, beforehand, I'm, is there any boundaries? And because before the shows, he'll say, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. And there's about 40 odd rules and regulations that the roster has to follow. I've broken every single one of them and gave them a few more that they didn't realise they needed. And there's also a fining system there. And Dave has promised me that when I get to the stage where I'm buying my own ticket, paying my own hotel, and going home potless, that he will actually tell me, so that I know that what debts I'm working off. But he said, where you're concerned, it's something different, and I can't really do or say anything with you because of what you do. But I think I do worry him to a degree. I get that crazy maniacal laugh when I come through the curtains backstage sometimes, and I think, yeah, that was a good one. I feel good, and I absolutely adore them. I got to be straight. I adore Dave and Lexi and Alison, and I do, and I thank them for allowing me the freedom with my character that a lot of other companies would be too terrified to allow me. So it's kind of cool.
Now that you've got the championship, what can people expect on the next set of shows?
To be honest, I don't want them to expect anything. I want them to expect the unexpected. I don't want to be predictable. I don't want to be put into a box. I don't want anyone to think that they've sussed my character or my instincts or my mentality out. I want people to be on their guard completely, and I would be pretty pissed off if anyone thought that they'd worked me out, because I'm kind of a tough cookie to crack, and I will go all the way and a step further if I have to. I just hope that the rest of the world realise that.
Well, I think a lot of the world already realise just the depth of feeling that you have and the passion that you have for pro wrestling, and there's going to hopefully maybe be a new brand of people or a new audience of people who might get to see for the first time this coming week when this documentary airs on Channel 4. And now this is something that's been getting filmed for quite a while. There's been quite a number of WAW shows over the last year. I saw cameras at and so on. The final product is out there. Well, it's almost out there. Have you seen a final cut of it? Do you know what it's all about?
Yeah, and I am pissed off with it. And they've been told to go back and sort it out, else it's not going. They better get their skates on and get it right, because I wasn't happy about. None of my family were happy about it, to be honest.
Really?
You know, there was 60% was fine. You know, but there was 40% that made us so angry. We're in the process now that if they don't get it sorted out as we want it, then it's not going. So, you know, the way that I look at it, I don't like the way that my husband's business has been portrayed. They followed us for 14 months, and we just wrestled in front of Caister, which was like about 1,100 fans. And then we'd also done a camp in Skegness that had about 800. And then we had a little camp at Scrapby that was capacity. It was only 400 because it's only a small camp. So if you add all of those figures up, we then had a great Yarmouth show on the night time, and about 22 people turned up. That's the show that they decided to put on the documentary. Not the one at Epic where we've been sold out and we had to turn people away. Not the ones like everywhere else where we've had like 200, 300, 400 people there. They decided to show the one show where there was about, a handful of people there. And I just didn't like it. I didn't like that, my husband's business was portrayed as something that it's really not. I mean, they haven't put grapplers in there. And like my husband has spent a lot of money getting this place. We've got like a gym, we've got a static wrestling ring in one room, we've got chill out rooms, we've got a kitchen, we've got 2 offices, we've got the weight room, we've got our own private parking. It's such a huge thing that we've done. We've moved on to a 2,000 square meter unit, and that's not been even highlighted. My son Roy was portrayed in 2 sentences as a vicious thug. My other son Zach it was fine to a certain degree, but I just when I'd watched the documentary, all I wanted to do was give the boy a hug, and it just felt like they'd made him like separate off. And I mean, it's probably little whinging things, and that we'd done this scene where we were getting a settee out of the house to put into the unit, and my husband, in his infinite wisdom, threw the settee through the door and ripped the banister off the wall. And literally the next day, before we have our chance to fill the holes up and put the banister back up, they'd filmed a skit with Zach. And it was on the stairs. So you've got gaping great holes in the walls, and you've got the banister line on the stairs. And there's my son talking about his feelings about the WWE contract. So, I don't know. I wasn't happy. They promised that they'll take stuff out. There was certain comments that was made back of hand that they decided that was going to be put in. And they've been told that they've got to take it out, and we're not budging on this. So, we're waiting for the next cut. They've got till the 18th because it's been advertised now everywhere.
Yeah.
So I can promise it's not going up unless myself and my whole family. It's got to be all of us. It doesn't matter if some of us are happy with us. If there's one of us that isn't, then nothing goes ahead. So, there's 4 parts. Part 1 and 2, I don't like at all. Parts 3 and 4, I didn't mind. Very emotional. It's saying goodbye to Raya at Gatwick Airport. You see the family in a light that you would never see us, like completely emotional and everything, and watching us say goodbye to our daughter and stuff. So you can see the emotion and how pained we are, and like saying goodbye to her. But the first half, it just, I don't know. We'll see. It's got to go out on the 18th, so we'll see what they do with it and see if they please us or not, I suppose.
So is there a possibility then that we may just get a replacement program if you're not happy with it and you haven't signed off on it?
Well, they've said to me that there was 10 things in the beginning, and we compromised and went down to 5, but they were non-negotiable 5 points. So if they do these 5 points that we're not going to budge on, then there's absolutely no problem. But I must say, if we're doing like a yin and a yang of it, the stuff that I'm happy with is incredible. It's absolutely, completely incredible. If that doesn't get you reaching for the hankies, I know we had a room full of people when we watched it, and everybody by the end of the third segment was sobbing. So, you know, I have to take my hat off to Max Fisher and the guys down at Lambent. The bits they got right, they really, really got right. And they're doing everything in their power to make the rest of it right. So, you know, we're happy working with them. We're happy doing a series with them if it comes about, which I'm pretty sure it will. But, you know, I can't sit here and say that I'm not happy and I'm angry and this, that and the other, when on the other side, 60% of that documentary is completely amazing. And I'm proud of you know, the good stuff that they've done. So we'll just have to wait and see. You'll have to give me your view on it, because I'm sure everybody will. Because obviously we're a band of gypsies, and you know, we're no good, and we're walkers, and you know, well, that's... people are going to see us in that light, whatever. So.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Did you think then, from what you saw, that they had an idea of who you and your family were, and they've tried to find footage to paint you in a certain way, to make you look in kind of the way they had you thought out at the beginning?
I'll tell you what story they wanted. They wanted to have council house girl making good, making millions. That's what they wanted. So they had to, you know, our point is, you know, don't crash and burn us, because, you know, you want a success story, which is Raya, because Raya doesn't need this documentary. Raya has already got her standing. She's already in America. She's already doing it. But the thing is that her brothers are still here, and my husband still has a company here. So I didn't want, and nor did the family want, to be seen to crash and burn for the sake of Britney.
Yeah. And
the way that they portrayed it was exactly that. That we were, you know, they've got a knack of not perceiving what actually you want them to perceive. And you know, there was we were decorating the back room, and we had a leak, and we had to wait till the roof dried out before we could fix it and get it all up. So they'd done the before when we were waiting for the roof to dry out. But they didn't do the after once the roof had dried out, and we decorated it again. So it was like, I think there was very strategic points that was put in there purposely to make Saraya's success story seem more incredible and more amazing, you know. But the bond of the family comes over. You can see that we all absolutely adore each other and that we love each other, and they've got that dead right. They can, like me, you know, I'm me. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm brash, direct. I swear a bit.
No.
As it is. I don't like to lie. I'd rather shock someone telling the truth than try and gloss over something and bullshit. So, you know, I'm a very independent, strong-willed sort of person. And by God, you can see that on there. That was like, oh God, but that's me. I can't change who I am. So, you know, there's nothing I can do about it. And my husband, he is, you know, he's the daddy. Do you know what I mean? He's the one that that everyone looks up to, and he created all of this. And you can see that he is the hierarchy. So, you know, I don't know. Everyone's got to make their own mind up, because you've got to remember, when you see something, say you watch a wrestling match back and someone thinks that it was absolutely shit that was in it, and then someone else will look back and go, that's the best match I've ever seen you have. It's just perception, isn't it? It's people's outlook on what they've seen and what they take in and what they digest. So I've just got to leave it open there and wait for the big slagging session to happen.
which, by the sound of it, you're fully expecting at the minute.
We're going to get it. We're the Knights. We're like Marmite, mate. You either like us or you don't. And I'm not gonna sit here and try and defend my family. I love my family. I won't change any single member of them. And if you don't like them, well, tough shit, really. They're mine, and I'm proud of them. And you know, I'll take anybody's criticism on board, but I won't have my family slagged off or, you know, made to look stupid or bad when everybody in life has made mistakes and everyone's got a skeleton in their cupboard. So, you know, the way I look at it, people in glass houses should throw stones, really, should they? It's just that my family are just open because we're all kind of brash and loud and slightly obnoxious, but we're loyal and we're honest and we're respectful. So, you know, you can't have it all ways on it, I suppose. But I'm waiting for the onslaught. I am waiting. I've got to be straight. There's always going to be like people in the wings diving on opportunities like they do. So, and we recently. So yeah, I think this is going to be a very big bandwagon, to be honest. But there's going to be a series out of it. So who's laughing, huh?
Well, let's talk about how this all sort of came about. I mean, what happened? Did they approach you with an idea, or did somebody else maybe refer you to them? How did it happen?
Well, there was a gentleman who's top of his game called Max Fisher, and he is a huge fan of Rick and Jimmy, the Superflies, and he used to go and watch them years ago and follow them when when he was growing up. And when he decided on doing this documentary, straight away he wanted to get Rick involved. And then when he sat down with Rick and Rick explained to him, like, oh yeah, I've got a family and my missus wrestles and my kids wrestle and my daughter is in the process of doing this, that and the other, and like Max's eyes went wide open. And he sat there and next thing you know, within a month we're signing contracts and going ahead with it. It was commissioned by Channel 4 within 6 weeks of Max approaching us. So, it was always going to be big news.
Was the idea always that Raya would be the star then? Like she would be the story, yeah?
No, that got changed halfway through. Initially, it was the wrestling family about all of our individual lives, but then it swung off into a tangent as soon as Raya got hooked up, and then it became Raya's story. But I'm not sitting here like making out that it's a really shit documentary, because it really isn't. It's a very good, well put together documentary, and Lambent have done a brilliant job with it. The points that we're not happy about, I've explained, and they've promised they'll put them right. So, I'm proud of what my family stand for, and I'm proud of doing the documentary. That's 14 months of hard graft that we've put into this. And I just know that there's haters out there, and I'm just saying, fill your boots, go for it. There's nothing we ain't heard, and our skin is pretty thick now. So, there'll be more people that will sit there and feel the emotion in it and see the family side of it than they'll be sitting there slagging us, calling us a bunch of pikeys and everything like that. So, get on with it.
Well, you talk about the emotion as well, and I think that's one of the big things and the big stories is Raya and her deal with WWE, and now she's over there. Like you said, watching back, I think is that going to be the sort of thing that you think it is going to be? Like you said, it's interesting, but then also will pull at the heartstrings so much that it
You're going to cry, Lee.
You reckon?
I know. I mean, I sat in a room of about, honestly, there must have been 14, 15 people sat watching the telly. And I started crying. I had Summer in my arms, and I started crying. And I've looked about, and every man and every woman that was sat in that room was sobbing. There wasn't one person there. Even the producer that came up, especially to view this with us, was sobbing, and she'd seen it so many times. It's such an emotional second half to the documentary that, the first half is the lead up to it, but the second half is watching a family. I don't know. It's watching our individual love for Saraya and each other, and it's very, very, very strong. It's I know that there's going to be a lot of people that will turn around and say, even if they don't like it, that scenes 3 and 4 were really got them. That they got emotional about it. There's some laughter points. Don't get me wrong. There's some laugh out loud moments. There's some oh my god moments. There's some piss myself laughing moments. But there's also some real tear jerking, some real heart wrenching, real emotional crap going on in there. And watching it made me realise how much I miss her.
Well, yeah. You talk about that, and I suppose you can miss her and you will miss her all the time, but we've actually now seen her on TV over here as well on NXT last week. I mean, when you sat down and watched that, what did that make you feel when you actually saw her out there in front of those cameras, in front of the worldwide TV audience finally?
Well, they actually filmed us watching it, and that's in the documentary.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was. We had a few people round, like Jimmy Ocean and everyone come round, and we all let out this big cheer when we saw her come out, and it was weird because to me it wasn't a DVD, it wasn't something on the internet that you downloaded off YouTube. This was actually a proper Sky listing, yeah. And my little girl was on there, and it was just completely surreal that my little princess was looking down at me with my chin and my rape eyes, and it was like, my God, damn it, she's doing it. She's really, really doing it, and pride it just doesn't come into it because words can't describe when. I don't even think it was pride because my stomach turned, my heart was bursting, my pulse was quickening, I was prickling all over. I felt as if I was spinning. Every hair on my head stood on end. It was like literally, like taking a drug and not understanding, like what was happening, what sort of effects this drug would have on you. It was. I can't describe pride because pride doesn't even come into it. It was insane pride, insane emotion. I wish I could bottle it and sell it. I'll be a bleeding millionaire by tomorrow. And this is just the beginning. This is just the start, and she just blows me away. She absolutely blows my mind. And
with that pride though, I think is that pride sort of expanded because you are aware of just difficulties as well of maybe somebody who is that age moving over to another country, trying to settle down, entering the dream job, and just having those difficulties and what she's had to overcome to get to that point where you are seeing her on TV like that.
Right. Well, let me give you a little taste what that little girl has gone through, right? When she got looked at in the April, and then she got FedExed a contract that she had to sign and send back, which was DHL, I think it was. Then that was one part that she had to send back. The other part, she had to go and get her fingerprints done for the FBI, which was at a cost. She had to go and have her signature witnessed by not just a barrister, but someone above them, which was at a cost as well per hour, which was 3 figures.
Good God.
Yeah, and just to witness a signature and get their stamp. I had to pay for that stamp to go on there, as well as spending the half an hour in there in which it took for the document to be signed. She had to go down to London not once, not twice, but 3 times for her visa application, which came out of her own cost. She then had to go down there, and once she'd done all of that, they realised that she only had a year left on her passport. So that little girl had to go to Peterborough, go and get another passport sorted out, to then go back down to London to sort it all out again and get her visa application reapproved. They then stuck it in the wrong bit instead of the 90 days. They put it in the 90 days instead of the 3 or 4 weeks, 21 days, at her cost. So, brought back, and then she had to go down there and redo it. When she left us, she bought her own ticket. She paid for her own visa. She left Gatwick with just her bags, and she went over to and stayed with a friend of mine, Lexi Fife, who I owe and I am indebted to. Without her, I don't know what I would have done, because Lexi not only helped her find a place to live, but she sorted out all her rental insurance, went with her to buy her furniture, helped her by buying her presents and stuff, looked after her, fed her, clothed her, done everything that a mum should do. She was literally Raya's second mum over there. She helped her with her medical insurance. She helped her with her national insurance. It's not national insurance. It's I can't think what they call it over there. National Social Security card. And then she had to wait 6 weeks before she was paid because she couldn't get paid until she'd had her Social Security number. So Raya had to not only do all of this stuff and then go over there and live for 6 weeks off her own money. She had to do it all herself. And then obviously she was paid and you know, and like now she's really comfortable and they're really paying her well. But their policy is, if you want this enough, you'll do this. And why should they go out and do all of this stuff for you? Because you're the one that they're gonna make into a star. So you know you've got to get over to America. You've got to find a place to live. You've got to sort out your own paperwork. You've got to buy your own furniture, sort it all out, and turn up for work the next day, the day after you land.
Nice.
And you've got to do all this yourself. My daughter was 19 years old.
And all of that, desperately homesick at the same time.
Oh my God, yeah, she broke my heart. She did, you know. It was, I'd like to say to her, like, what do you want to do, Raya? And she's going, like, Mum, I'm so homesick, but she's a stubborn old bag. And she
sad after her mother as well, didn't she?
Yeah, well, we're a bit defiant, you know. As soon as someone says that we can't do something, we'll go out of our way to prove that we can, and we will, and we'll excel.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's going, it's all right, Mum, I'll stick it out. And it was like, well, you know what, like next week there was a friend going over there. So I said, all right then, well, I'll pay for your ticket to come home if you want. She went, no, it's all right because my other mate comes over a week later. I've gone, all right then, well, I'll pay for your ticket then. Oh, no, Mum, don't worry because you're coming over in March. I went, all right then, darling, well, come home with me. She went, oh, but WrestleMania. And I went, you're not coming home, are you? She went, no. So I think to a certain degree, she was making me feel better by anticipating that she might come home.
Yeah.
Time she never had any intention. And she hasn't now. She's bought a bloody dog. So she's got herself an 8-week-old puppy. So
I saw pictures already, yeah.
Home now. She's a happy bunny. But she's been through it. She, you know, for a young girl to up sticks and move countries and do it all on her own. I mean, obviously she's had, you know, Lexi and Lexi's husband Scott and Bonnie Maxon.
Yep.
Yeah, she's been amazing. Sarah Del Rey's been amazing. They all have. All the girls over there, they've just been absolutely amazing to her. And nothing was too much trouble for them. They just... Alison Danger, you know, at the end of the telephone, she was willing to just drop everything and get over to her. And, you know, I can't thank those girls enough for looking after my princess. And I know that all the family feel the same way, that if it wasn't for those girls, my daughter wouldn't be living her dream, you know. So it's you know, I got to tip my old hat to them, really. You know, I'll still fight the shit out of them in the ring, but I've got to respect them.
You know, you give a good sort of like synopsis there, the sort of stuff that someone has to go through when they get signed, and you know, I think sometimes there's a lot of people are desperate to out people as being signed to WWE and stuff like that, but there's an awful lot of hoops people have got to jump through, including medicals and all sorts of stuff before anybody can officially talk about it, can they? I mean, I remember we had this discussion about Raya, but when you could actually, or when she could actually officially talk about it.
Well, you're not actually legally allowed to talk about it at all. It's part of the contract. You know, you're allowed for people to make assumptions, but you're not allowed to be seen to be agreeing or disagreeing or anything. And I mean, if you can't keep your mouth shut, what good are you in a business that's full of secrets?
Yeah,
you know?
Fair point.
And that's what they look at, and it really used to piss us off something rotten. You'd get these silly net nerds on there, you know, slagging Saraya off, you know, saying it was all bollocks and you know that like the Knights are shit and it was all make believe and it was all pie in the sky and there's no way one of us Knights will get signed because we're all shit, and you know, and all me and my husband wanted to do was get on the internet. Apart from throwing the computer across the room, we wanted to get on the internet and go, well, you're all talking shit because she has, and here's the proof. But you can't do that because, you know, you've just really got to learn to keep your mouth shut. And it's as simple as that. And, you know, there was a couple of times where Raya wrote to them and said, look, you know, all of this fuss that's going on, I promise you I haven't mentioned anything. And they go, we know because we're watching your every move.
Ooh.
So they'll be checking the Twitter account, they'll be checking Facebook, they check everything, every aspect of your life. They watch you, and they will know if you are inciting this, this stampede of crap that's being, thrown against you. And I know that there's people at the minute that are going through the same problem. So my advice, and if you do that, then you'll be okay. If you start rising to what people are saying, whether it's in good or whether it's in bad, then you're risking your next step. So, really just keep your head down and mention nothing, because I promise you it will bite you in the arse quicker than you've had a chance to think if you can't learn to keep your mouth shut. And if my 19-year-old daughter can do it and I can do it, my God, the Knight family, shit.
That's bigger.
That is huge. If we can do it, anybody can do it. So, and to be honest, it's all the sweeter when you're actually in FCW and you can put on your Facebook, all you have to do is change where you live. You're not in Norwich, England anymore. You're in Tampa, Florida. So you don't need to write anything on your Facebook, because that change of where you live is enough to turn around and say to the world, bollocks. And that's what my daughter did. She just changed where she lived. So, perfect.
So your big advice then to anybody who's involved with WWE is just keep quiet. If you're having a try it with WWE, keep quiet. If you've had any contact with WWE, keep everything quiet. Everything.
Don't put it on Facebook that you're having a trial. Don't, keep it hush-hush. Everything. Right down to whether you get in or whether you don't, what advice they gave you, anything. Anything that happens in WWE, as a trial or as an email or anything, just shut up. Just say nothing. Just keep your mouth shut. Don't get involved. You've got to learn how to deal with media, and they test you at every turn. So, don't start bragging about stuff, because when you fall flat on your ass, that's when it's going to bite you. So, just keep it all down and keep it secret and contain your excitement. And it's hard, but you have to do it, because, you'll reap the rewards when all them doubters that will slag you on the internet are turning on the TV, and who's on the telly looking down at them? You. So, you'll get your comeuppance without words. So you don't need words to get revenge. Just keep your head down and keep your mouth shut.
So, Raya made her debut in WWE this year, and we can only imagine what's going to happen with her in the coming weeks and months. As far as your personal 2012 coming up, you've got new lands to conquer, haven't you?
I know. I'm going to Canada.
Yes, you are.
It's my Femmes Fatales that we come.
Yes, Montreal in November.
I know. I can't wait. I want to beat the crap out of Lufisto. It's going to be awesome.
I'm sure she'd be happy to hear that.
I get my hands on her. I even said to her at the last Shimmer, I really want to fight you. I don't know if I'll get the chance to, but cool, I'd cause some shit.
Well, there's a two DVD taping on that day, so let's see what happens, eh?
I'm to be honest, I'm buzzing. I've been offered Australia as well in November, so it's going to be America, Canada, Australia. If it all comes off, so I'm like, I'm really, really buzzing. I found like this second wind of I just don't know. It's like, like when you get a Ford motor car, you always know when it's about to flag and fail when it starts running right.
Don't tell me that. I've got a Ford.
I don't know. I'm loving my wrestling at the moment, and I've had so many downsides to this job, and I've had times in this job where no one will wrestle me, and I've tried really hard to. I'll show up anywhere people want me to show up, but when your opponent doesn't because they're shitting themselves, it kind of, and you think, well, why? I've injured one person in 22 years, and that was accidental. That wasn't intentional. So, at this moment in time, to be, the biggest female champion going at the moment, and not WWE, but on the independents. Mm-hmm. And getting such a huge push from places that I've only ever dreamt about. To me, it's astounding. I'm buzzing. I can only get flipping nastier as I get older, but I am absolutely buzzing that the character is getting there, and that, you know, at 40 years old, I'm looked as a good booking rather than a stocking filler. So yeah,
it's one way of looking at it. I mean, what's really cool about Montreal? I mean, I've been there. I was there earlier this year, so I experienced my first Femmes Fatales. It's a really good atmosphere. But what's going to be great to see you there is because it's a brand new crowd that you've never seen, and that they've never probably seen you as well. There's going to be a lot of locals there who've probably never seen anything like Saraya Knight before.
Well, you know, I mean, the only thing I can say is, number one, I hope they have guardrails.
They do.
Number two, I hope they have security.
They might.
And number three, I hope they have their wits about them.
I don't know about that one.
You know, they've got to try and control me, and the more they try and control me, the more out of control I'm going to become. So we've just got to wait and see what happens. But I won't back down, and let's see what the Canadians make of Saraya Knight, Hal.
Well, it's not like you're going to have any problem addressing a French-speaking audience as well, because you're over in wrestling in France all the time.
Oh yeah, no, I can drive in France like I drive in England. It's like I know every single road and back road and, you know, country road you can actually think of. I know how to get to anywhere in France. So I do wrestle there quite a lot, and there's a couple of training schools that I go to regularly because they love the old British style. So, and you know, I'm real old school. I like a little bit of violence in the job as well. So, and they seem to be liking that at the moment. So I'm actually being booked out every minute training people. So that's cool as well, because, you know, my knowledge will live on, and the WAW will live on, and the Knight name again will live on. So it's all good.
I've got a question for you then. Given that you wrestle in France so much and you go there so regularly, how's your French? Are you going to be able to abuse these Quebecers in French?
Well, my French is shit, but I do know swear words.
Right.
You know, so the important ones.
To abuse them. I'll be abusing them in English, wrapping in a French swear word here and there. So yeah, but believe me, I'll be doing my homework. I'll make sure that I can tell them exactly what I think of them.
Oh my God, Saraya's causing mad.
Yeah, I think they'll get the message, because, you know, when I'm in the face and I'm attacking them, there's only one way they can take that, isn't there? Really.
Yes.
One thing about France, though, and about the training as well, just on a side note, is that somebody who you were training with out in France, somebody who was on the last WAWW show as well, the Execute Suite's going to be in Montreal for Femme Fatale as well.
I know, I'm buzzing. She's a good grafter, though. She's, you know, I remember when she first started, and she came over to me a couple of times, and I could see that she had a lot of talent, and she's such a sweet girl. She really is. And would you like to know something very, very, very top secret?
Go on, then.
It won't be top secret for long.
Right. As of the 1st of August, there's a very special 2013 calendar that's going to be on sale. And the reason that I'm telling you while you're on about Execute Suite is because she's one of the girls that's involved in it, because she's classed as a WAWW girl. But there's a slight difference to this calendar.
I don't even want to say. Go on.
Tell me now.
It's a naked photo shoot.
And you have my money.
And the WAWW roster has... We've taken photographs. We're all involved. There's, you know, things around wrestling rings and our gym and different things. So, yeah, I swore I'd never do anything like this, but I've done it. So you're going to see my ass.
So there's no reckoning.
Cool. It's on sale anyway. It'll be on sale from the 1st of August, and it's £15 for the calendar. But you've got Queen Maya. You have, oh God, I'm trying to think, Jewel, Violet O'Hara, Miss Mina, Liberty, Bryony, Eloanne, Execute Suite. Oh God, there's so many.
This is the most ridiculously awesome thing in the history of the world.
I know, and Kelly, you know, one of the twins from Ireland.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's in it. Oh God, there's so many. There's so many girls, and we all came to the gym one night, and the wine was flowing, and we went up Asda's and had a little carpet picnic with some chicken and some rolls and stuff, and then we all had a drink, and then next thing you know, we're running around the gym having photographs taken.
Clearly, my invitation got lost in the post for this one.
Yeah, no, a lot of the lads wanted to come in, and they said, they'll hold the dressing gowns and stuff, but it's a calendar girls style shoot. It's all done very tastefully. Obviously, you're not going to see tits and arse and fanny and stuff like that. A girl, a little bit more than that. It's all done very, very classy, and I'm very proud of all the girls that decided to do it. And Scarlett is in it as well, and let me think, Lady Laurie, she's in it as well. And I was very proud of all the girls for bearing all and doing this for us, because my husband's goalkeeper got killed, and what we're going to do is we're going to give a percentage of the calendar to his family for the first year, because we're going to do this every year now. It's going to be a yearly thing. So the first year we're going to give part of what we make on the calendar to his family. But we've already got people that are willing to distribute it. We've got a company willing to manufacture it and everything. So the photographs have just gone in, and they've told me that I'll have my first bunch by the 1st of August. So if you'd like a naked calendar of the WAWW girls, then you better get emailing me, because I think they're going to go like hotcakes.
Well,
there'll be none left over for the Shimmer fans.
No, I'm going to send some over to Raya. So I'll have them then for Shimmer. So I am going to have some. I am going to take some over because it's October, so I'll still be able to sell them. So it'll save on their post and packaging if they want to buy them at the show. But I will have them on sale, and I will be giving Mr. Prezak one just because.
I don't know where to go with that.
No.
Little big gossip for you.
Anyway,
I'm gonna need a minute.
Are you in your bunk?
Yeah, I might be. I'm going to have to sign out for a moment.
Right,
I'm going to the woods.
Right.
I bet both your faces are pink now, aren't they?
I'll tell you what, there's not enough skin to go around.
Or enough blood.
Well, blinking's a bit of an issue right now.
Oh, it's close.
I can see the pervert emails heading my way.
Yeah, anyway. Getting back to...
oh, yeah, wrestling. Right,
Getting back to wrestling, yeah.
Did I just hear you say breastling then, Lee?
Might have done.
Did you just say breastling?
I did not, but I might have done by accident. Oh, we're heading into another Misa Dicks conversation.
Anyway, right, that's a new T-shirt, breastling.
I'll make a start right now.
Right, okay. Anyway, something I want to talk to you about is another thing that's happened this year. And you mentioned earlier on about how you got started in the business, and that was as the manager of the Superflies. And you got to relive those days recently for an all-star show down in Croydon. It was actually Jimmy Ocean's retirement show as well. And the Superflies reunited for one night, and you were in their corner, and you managed to incite somebody to the point where they wanted to attack you. Tell us the story.
Wanted to attack me? We ended up fighting.
What?
It was a full-scale fight.
No, see, this is the thing. It's on YouTube, but you can't see what happened with you. So, I mean, tell us what happened.
Well, I mean, to be honest, it was kind of pretty awesome because the Superflies had all their gear on. They had their gold and their pinks and everything, and they were always very classy when they came out. But it was, backstage they went through the same routine they'd always done a million times before, and it was like we'd never been apart from each other. It was like a hand in glove. And I remember when we walked out there and I've got in the ring and I'm doing the manageress thing and we were absolutely buzzing. I said to Rick, it's strange, isn't it? It just feels like we've never stopped doing this. He's going like, yeah, and Jimmy was the same. Well, then there was about 5 or 6 minutes in, I've grabbed Jimmy's thrown Frankie Sloan out, so I've grabbed hold of Frankie Sloan and I've hit him. And the crowd on the far left-hand side started kind of being a bit abusive. So me being me, rather than walk away, I walked towards them and kind of got in their face a little bit and argued a bit. Well, I thought, well, that's a bonus. I've got their backs up. I'll keep going back to them. Well, they threw Frankie Sloan out to me again, and I remember seeing my sons, Roy and Zach, up in the balcony, and I've seen Frankie's bare back. Well, I've angel winged him, and it was an almighty flipping double hand clap. And I've looked up to the boys, and I've given them this big grin, and they're both looking at me as if to say, "You bitch." Next thing you know, I'm pushed, right? But my head flicks backwards, and it's all I can do to keep my balance. I've stumbled about 4 or 5 paces. Well, I've kind of turned around, and there is the biggest, fattest heifer I have ever seen in my life was looking at me, and she, you know, it was like, oh, God. Well, I ain't standing for that. So I've gone over to her, and I've gone like, I mean, obviously, there was no cameras on our bit. Well, there kind of was, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I've kind of got in her face a little bit, and it was like, who the fuck do you think you are? And next thing you know, she's hit me. She slapped me across the face, but I've managed to grab her hand. So I flicked out of the way. Next thing you know, I got a right hook. So I flip in, that was it. Head went. I've grabbed her by the waist. I'd say grabbed her by the waist. I couldn't even bring my hands together at the back of her. But I've lifted her, and I've thrown her down on her back, and I've sat on her belly, and I've just started punching her in the face.
Whoa.
And next thing you know, I look up, and there's Zach. So Roy and Zach have run from the balcony to me in the time it's taken this bird to not only hit me once I flick it away, but actually crack me, and me to lift her off her feet and throw her down and attack her. It's taken them to get from a balcony, which is 2 flights up, plus 2 corridors, and they've got to me faster than security did. And they couldn't. I wasn't letting go. Do you know what I mean? I was seeing red then, so I'm punching the shit out of her. And Zach's next thing, he's picked me up by my elbows, and he's pulled me off. And as I've tried to go back, the security have formed a line of people around her. But everyone that's behind that line of security have then got brave and have started like slagging me, saying that they were going to punch my face and they were going to see me after the show, that, you know, what they were going to do and what they weren't going to do. Well, I was pissed off, so I tried to make a dive through the security things to the people behind, but I just couldn't get through. And it doesn't help that Zach was kind of there, and he's like a brick wall, and Roy was there as well. And, you know, it was like, yeah, my sons aren't going to let me get involved in this. But I hadn't lost my head enough to not know what was going on, but I'd lost it enough that I wanted to kill her. So then I've like turned around and continued with what I was doing, and you know, the rest of the match went absolutely fine, and then we said goodbye to Jimmy, and then next thing you know, as I've got out the ring after Jimmy's a standing ovation for his retirement, I've been picked up by both elbows. My feet are about a foot and a half off the floor, and I'm moving, but none of my body is moving, and I've kind of looked up, and it's Zach. Zach has gone. He's literally picked me up by the elbows and walked me through the crowd, and he's going, "Get out of the way! Get out of the way! Get out of the way!" And I've actually moved from the ring to backstage without one single foot touching the floor. I managed to. It was like elevation. I managed to elevate up the stairs. It was just really strange. But like it was, you know, both Zach and Roy protected me that night, and. You know, that the girl come backstage afterwards and apologised and everything. But, you know, it's a case of if you're big enough to hit me, you're big enough to get one back. And it says purposely on the tickets, do not get involved in entertainment, please stay in your seats. As soon as they get out of their seats and start hitting me, then, you know, in my eyes, if you're on the street, I wouldn't let you hit me. So I'll be damned if I'm going to let you punch me about when I'm in the wrestling. You get paid to punch me. I don't get paid to take your shit. So it's a case if you come and attack me, I will attack you back. It's as simple as that. So, and she did, and she got it. But it was a good fitting tribute to Jimmy, because it was just like the old days. That's why I learned to fight.
Oh, bless him. You told us stories about that before, about some of the times that you were, one of the times you got beaten half to death when you were managing the Superfly.
Maidstone, yeah. A real bad kicking at Maidstone. It's probably the worst kicking I've ever had in my life. You know, I've had a fair few, because you've got to remember, I've lost more fights than I've won. Usually the glare gets me out of trouble, but, you know, I generally have lost more than I've won. But Maidstone, No, I was lucky to walk out of there.
Yeah, people want to hear that. They can go back and check it out. And
no, that's in an old podcast that you've done,
yes.
So they can go back and have a listen to that. But yeah, that was one of the most scariest points in my career, apart from the injuries, obviously, which again is another podcast. But
yes.
yeah, no, I shot myself. I really did.
But that was the show that you sort of like, you know, told us a few stories that blew our minds, and I think after you got off the line with us, that first podcast you did with us, I think Lee and I just must have went wow to each other about 100 times. Like, what did we just record? And you know, as a result of that, you kind of become one of our favorite guests, probably our favorite guest. I mean, have you got another story from the Saraya Knight tale? Awesome.
Oh mate, you can't remember how many years I've been in this job.
How many times you've been hit around the head as well? You've forgotten this.
I mean, there's been times where like, I don't know if I told you about the Camberley story, but when we were going down to Camberley, there was me, Rick, Jimmy, and Ivan Trevors, and it was the same shit every time we got in the car. So what's this all like? Oh no, it's all right, mate. Or no, you got to watch your back here. Or, you know, be careful. We'll nod to the ones that you got to be careful of. And you know, we'd kind of do a strategy on the way down of you know, the best way to be able to watch your back and everything. So we were going down to Camberley, and we were on against Stevie Gray, and that's Stevie Gray's hometown. And I said to Rick and Jimmy about the score, you know, what's the old house like? And they said, no, they're fine here. They're no problem whatsoever. They're good as gold here. So I've gone, right, okay. So I've gone out with Rick, and Rick's in the single. And I remember I had some airspray in my bag, and I thought, right, I'll use that bastard. I'll flip and spray him in the eyes with that towards the end. And I've got all these little things that's going from the head. Well, Rick put Stevie Gray over to me, and all I've done is made a grab for him, and then I get punched in the side of the head. But it wasn't a good punch, but it was still a punch. And I've turned around, and I've got up, because he did knock me on my arse. I got up, and there was this bloke there, and he's kind of giving it the big, come on then, you slag, and all this sort of stuff. Well, Rick's got out the ring and just walked towards him, and the bloke sat down. So Rick's got back in the ring, and he's tried to put Steve next to me again. Well, Steve kept ducking out the way, and I was getting frustrated because I wanted to get my hands on him because that was my job. So eventually, Rick's managed to get Steve come over to me. So I've grabbed hold of Steve, and I've wrapped the towel around my neck, and I've lifted my feet off the floor, and I'm hanging suspended by Steve's neck. As I've taken the towel off his neck, I get it, and it was a beauty. And I've literally been like knocked off my feet, and I'm sat there and I'm seeing stars, and I was like, shit. Next thing I know, this bloke has come off the floor. And he's been actually knocked where he's been knocked into the front row, but actually ended up in the second row back. And then with that, Rick's dragged me up, and he's gone back to back, kid, which was the cue for what we'd do is we'd fight back to back. So we'd have a 180 radius each. And so we'd take on half the crowd each. So we were fighting like bastards. It was, I mean, we hadn't even got out the first round because it was meant to be 6 5-minute rounds. We'd only done 3 minutes. And the whole crowd had descended upon us, and there must have been 600-700 people in the crowd, and it was like they were all lunatics. So like me and Rick are trying to get from the ring to the stage door, and we couldn't get there. Next thing you know, we see Sledgehammer Smith, bless his heart. He comes down, and then we do the trio. So our watching our back radius has then got smaller, and we've managed to get in the triangle, and we fought our way back to the changing room. Well, then next thing you know, we've managed to get back. The hall manager is going absolutely berserk. That's it. I ain't ever having you guys back here again. I've never seen anything like that in my life. That was the most inhumane act I've ever seen. And he was going berserk. And he says, and to top it off, all the punters are outside the stage door with sledgehammers and baseball bats, and they've said that they're going to smash your head in. So with that, Rick kind of cocked his head to the side, went downstairs into the changing room. Well, Sledgehammer Smith was called Sledgehammer Smith for a reason. So Rick went into his changing room and picked up his sledgehammer, and like he went, come on, girl. So I'm with him. I'm shitting myself. I ain't got a weapon. My weapon is my husband and his sledgehammer. So we've gone running out and through the stage doors, and he's gone out roaring like a like a banshee. There was no one there. They'd all bombed it as soon as they'd heard he'd gone to get a sledgehammer and all ran back into the hall. But then 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, Brian Dixon's rung up in his infinite wisdom, as he does, and said, I think it might be a really good idea to have that match, you and Stevie Gray come back, Rick. So Rick's gone, all right then, mate. He says, and your missus. He went, all right then, mate, don't worry about it. So we've taken the booking, and I'm thinking like, oh shit, this is Maidstone all over again. So I've kind of got about a week before we're due for the job. I'm suffering real chronic back pain, and I can hardly walk. I can't even go to the toilet. There's nothing is happening. So I go to my doctor, and my doctor says, look, Julia, I think there might be a problem with your bowel. I think you might have got a deflated bowel, or something is ruptured. We need to get you to the hospital ASAP. So I'm thinking like, oh shit. So I go up to the hospital, and they turned around and they said to me, go, right, what we're going to do with this procedure, we're going to stick this tube up your arse and we're going to blow hot air up it. And I'm
This is the best story of ever.
I mean, please, take me out for dinner first. Don't just stick that tube up my arse. And he goes, we have to do some random checks at the moment. He says, are you on any painkillers? No. Have you taken any drugs in the last 24 hours? Not that I know of. Have you been drinking in the last 24 hours? No. Any chance you could be pregnant? No. Right, we have to make certain tests. So they check my blood pressure and everything. He goes, right, lie in the bed. I need to see if you're pregnant. So I've laid there. I've gone, I doubt it, mate. I said, because I've got a little boy at home, and he's only just walking. There's just no way I could be pregnant. Next thing you know, he turns around, he goes, have you got someone here with you? And I've gone, yeah. And he goes, where, who's with you? I said, well, my husband. He's in the waiting room. So he's gone, nurse, can you go and get him? Well, I'm shit myself. I think I've got cancer, and I think I'm dying. I think I've got days to live. So Rick's come in, and you can see the colour drain out of his face, and he's gone, look, so I think you should take a seat. Well, by this time, I'm farting because I'm shitting myself that bad. And he turned around, the bowel problem. Good news or bad news? He said, but your wife is pregnant. So I didn't even know I was pregnant with Saraya, and didn't even know. But I did go back, and I did do the lumberjack match with Stevie Gray, and I walked in the hospital a size 8. I walked out the hospital a size 14 with these humongous tits. So, when women know they're pregnant, everything then comes, I promise you, if I didn't know I was pregnant, I would have had her and I wouldn't have put on a pound. But as soon as I knew I was pregnant, I got, everything grew. My belly, my bum, my boobs, my bad temper, everything, just a lot. And I had her early as well. So I was only pregnant for about 5-6 weeks. So, yeah. Story for you. How Saraya was conceived. She was born wrestling, mate, because I was taking bumps and everything with her inside me.
So you legitimately only knew you were pregnant for about 5 or 6 weeks before all of a sudden you had another kid?
Yeah, no, I didn't know, because I was having periods and everything. I mean, my body was normal. I had no reason to believe I was pregnant at all, like none at all. It was the furthest thing from my mind. I just didn't know. I mean, you got to remember, there's only 14 months between Zach and Raya. Mm. And I found out I was pregnant with Raya when I was 6.5 months gone. So Zach was about 7 months old when I found out I was pregnant with her. No, not 7 months. What am I talking about? I'm talking shit. About 9-10 months old, I think. Yeah, because there's 14 months between them. So yeah. Yeah, she was conceived, and I actually carried on wrestling. I was doing everything I normally do. I was training. I was bumping. I was manageressing and being thrown over the top rope into orchestra pits and everything. Didn't even know I was pregnant. So little Saraya Jade has always been a fighter. So bless her.
It's amazing she turned out as well as she did, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, believe me, she got dropped behind me so many bloody times. There's a wonder that she can count to 10.
Wow.
That child survived war.
Yeah, we got to remember Zach was one of twins, wasn't he? So I lost Zach's twin, and then found out I was pregnant with him. And then, when he was just walking, I find out that I'm pregnant again. So it's quite nutty, really.
Nutty, she says. Yes. Wow. All right.
Come on, Stu. I mean, believe me, I've got mate. I can tell you stories to make your hair curl.
Oh well, this is why you'll be on for a fourth time at some point.
Oh yeah, we're just gonna have to have Saraya's tails, aren't we? We're gonna have to do something.
Yeah, perhaps. Before we finish up, though, let's just drag it back to WAWW. 2 shows this year so far, plus the return show from last year. I'm probably right in saying you still consider it very much a work in progress, but how is the work in progress going as far as you're concerned?
Fine. I mean, from the first show to the second show, there was teething problems. The second show was better. The third show, I thought, topped the lot. I thought all the girls were brilliant. There was some new characters that came in, and none of them let me down. Phobia scared the shit out of people, which was cool. The French girls annoyed people, which was awesome. I think Destiny and Penelope had match of the night. I thought their match was bloody amazing. I think Scarlett and Lady Laurie maybe had the second one of the night. But I'm just proud of all the girls. I mean, there's going to be girls that come and go in WAWW, but I've got no problem whatsoever in standing by my product. And I've got another show in September that I'm lining up. And, we'll be doing it down at Epic Studios. So we'll be filming that. Because obviously now WAW, the home of WAW is Epic. So the girls' show will be filmed there as well. And we're doing an early bird ticket thing. So we're advertising now. If you buy your tickets now, you can get them for $5. Do you know what I mean? So it just helps people that travel. But I think my September show is I'm hoping will be better than the last show that I did. But it's going to be a hard show to follow because I think that was an absolute beauty. And like all the girls, Aurora, Jewel, all of them, I think stood alone there and done their jobs. So I'll be using those girls and bringing a few more in because I do like a big roster. So I think I'll be, eventually, you see, I want to do 2 tapings and then maybe do a weekend of tapings eventually. But, I mean, the crowds aren't really big enough to do that sort of thing yet. I haven't got the notoriety that Shimmer has got. But, I'm aiming for 2 tapings on a Saturday or a Sunday. That is what I'm aiming for. And eventually I will do it. I just need to add a few more girls to the roster and tweak little bits here and there. And, I want to bring names like Hamada in, and I want Alison to come back, obviously, and I want cheerleader Melissa. I want, I'm just trying to think, Regeneration X, I want to come over. I want Courtney Rush to come over. There's so many girls that I really genuinely want to be part of this. I want ladies to come over. I just want to share what I've got with the world, and I'm quite happy to have any girl whatsoever come here, whatever ability. I'll always find somewhere or something here on the show.
Do you want a big roster just so you can make a 24-month calendar?
Yeah, no, that would be kind of. But can I clear something up though? Email in regard to WAWW being shit and different things, and the email included things such as you bring girls down for your training school and then they go on your shows and don't get paid and blah blah blah. The reason that I do the WAWW on the weekend of training schools because a lot of the girls want to come here and train with me. So what I try and do is do it in a way that they can train, but they can also wrestle. So yes, they pay for the training school, and yes, I give them the money back at the end of it with their expenses, their flights or whatever. There were some girls that came down from different areas of the United Kingdom on the first show, the return, and it was optional to whether they wanted to go in that show or not. Optional, they paid their fees for their training. We said to them, Alison Danger is down. This would be a great time to showcase your talents, but it isn't necessity that you go on the show. We can understand if you don't want to. We're not going to, lie to you and say that you're going to get all your expenses and everything paid for you because it's an option. But you've travelled down here for the training school. This is your choice. And they chose to go on that show. So being their choice, when they were spoken to by my husband and my sons and myself about the situation. So to be then slagged to say that I know nothing about female wrestling and that the company that I am running is shit, and that my husband hasn't got a clue how to run WAWW, I think was a little bit rude, especially from somebody and people that have been in the job 2 minutes, and people love me or hate me. They might think I'm a cow. They might think I'm obnoxious. They might think that I can block them from places. They might think that get on the wrong side of me, then I'm going to ruin your career. No, I won't ruin your career if you get on the wrong side of me. But if you disrespect me and you hurt me, I'm going to make life difficult for you, because why shouldn't I? Because if you don't respect me, you're not going to respect other girls in the job or the promoters that pay your wages. So if they turn around to me and say, what's her attitude like? Well, her attitude stinks. Then it's down to the promoter whether he wants to book her or not. But I'm not going to lie for him. I'm going to give my opinion. So, just to clear all of that up, say what you like about my company. I'm proud of it, and I stand by it, and it's got my name to it. So, if you want to come down to my school and you choose to go on my shows, that's down to you. If I book you, come on my shows, then that's down to me. Don't sit there and slag me and slate me and roll my name through the mud just because you think that you've been in the job 2 seconds and you know the job. It gets on my nerves that people can say shit about that and then disappear off the face of the earth when you give an opinion back. So, just for the record, WAW is my product, and yes, it's got teething problems. Yes, it is a new product. Yes, there is Eve. Yes, there is the girls thing up in Scotland. Yes, there's one in Sheffield. But so be it. If you don't have competition, you can't make yourself the best, can you? You can't be the best of one. You've got to be the best of many. So I say have as many female companies in England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales as you bloody like. But at one stage or another, there's got to be some sort of hierarchy in motion, like Shimmer is the top female company in the world. Then, there has to be a top one of Europe. And at the minute, we're all scrabbling for that title. So, let the fight begin.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. We're going to let you get off now, but it won't be too long until we're bothering you for another podcast, I'm sure.
I will be here whenever you want me. You know that, Stu and Lee. I'll do whatever it takes. So you tell me what you want, and I will tell you my story.
Anyone who's listening, if you want to hear Saraya 4, you just let us know.
Let me go. No, shut her up. My God, we want to let me go to get someone else on. Get Alison Danger on. She's more exciting.